So thanks everybody for coming. My name is Igor. I'm a developer happiness engineer at Airbnb. My team works primarily on developer tooling, developer infrastructure, the kind of things that engineers use in their day-to-day working lives to basically do every part of their workflows, from the point at which they're like onboarded and they have to set up their development environment until they're like shipping code to production and writing tests and monitoring that code in production and getting alerts about that code. I'm going to be, this is my team. We call it the developer happiness team. It's been like rebranded to developer infrastructure, but I still think of it as a developer happiness team. The primary role of the people on my team, I think, is to make the engineers at Airbnb as happy and productive as possible. So I'm going to be talking to you today about release management and release processes. This is kind of the traditional release process that many companies follow. This is the approach that I'm going to try to convince you is not the right approach in basically every situation. And I'm going to try to explain why. This is the thing we do instead of that process, which is called deploy board. And this is the tool that I'm going to be spending most of my time talking about. Deploy board is the tool that Airbnb engineers use to ship their code. It also does builds these days, so they also use it to build their code. We do increasingly more deploys with deploy board all the time. So this is just like a history of deploy board ever since we first created it in 2002. In 2012, since then, we've had more and more engineers using it to do more and more deploys. This year's not even complete yet, and we're already almost double, I think more than double what we did last year. This is the number of engineers using deploy board. This number is also increasing exponentially. And the reason why we have more and more engineers using deploy board is because at Airbnb, every engineer ships their own code. So if you write any code at Airbnb, you're going to have to use deploy board at some point. So the summary for my talk basically today is, why is this a desirable thing? Why should we have engineers shipping their own code? We're going to talk about the tooling we've built to make this possible for engineers. And then I would love to set aside some time for questions. Hopefully I will say some things that make you curious, or maybe make you like nut rage. So you're like, oh, I can't believe you're doing this. This is exactly wrong. So I would love to hear all that stuff at the end. So the primary problem we're trying to tackle is that deploys are pretty dangerous. Deploys are usually the point at which something's going to break. Like everything's been working fine, and then someone does something, and now everything's broken, and people are running around with their hair on fire. So a lot of times, the way that people try to contain or solve this problem is that they appoint these guardians, these like magical wizards, whose job it is to make sure that whenever a deploy happens, nothing actually breaks. And they're supposed to have special magical powers such that, like, for some reason, they make this process safer than it otherwise would have been. But we have a number of objections to actually using release managers. Some of them are practical objections. So for example, if you have someone else shipping code that other people wrote, they don't have as much context about what's changing in that code. Like they could read the diff, but they don't really understand what's changing and what are all the different pieces that can be affected by that change. So it's difficult for them to know what things they should be watching or like what things they should be paying attention to. Also, if you kind of bottleneck your deploy process on a couple of special people who are the ones authorized to like pull that magical switch, then things kind of slow down. And I would argue here that that's actually the opposite of what you want. The more things slow down, the likelier it is that you're going to run into trouble. These people can actually prevent problems before they happen. You don't really know for sure that your build that you're shipping to production is going to 100% work until it actually goes out to production and some users start seeing it. Whether you do that via some sort of canary launch where you only launch to some subset of users or to like some subset of machines and then you compare the metrics, even still, you have to have like real users using it against production data before you really know that things actually work.